Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Burger, our podcast with the New Mexico Beef Council. I'm Caroline Romo, and I am here today with representation from Sile Pastures. Now I'm worried. I asked you your names, but did I say Sile right?
You did.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Liz. So Andrea, Sage, Pilar, and Chamisa are here with us. Will you guys introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Sage Hagan, and this is my beautiful family, and we run Sile Pastures together, which is a small-scale regenerative farm that seems to be fairly diversified in the sense that, we raise beef, grass-fed, grass-finished, our lamb, our poultry. We were running hogs for a while, and then, we also have produce sometimes mixed in on all that wild, crazy stuff that we do.
Perfect. Do you want to introduce yourself too?
My name is Andrea Romero, and I'm just part of the farm on the other ends of tying up loose ends and stuff like that. And
perfect. And where are you guys from, and what's kind of your story of you guys grew up in Corrales, you said, but yeah, maybe how did you meet and how did you guys start this farm?
We've been together a long time, which is kind of cool because, history always has a lot to offer. And I think for us in our relationship to look back at like where we started, right? To not get into too much nit and gritty of my background, essentially we met in California when I was coming out of recovery from, having some partying a little bit too hard and needed to straighten my life out. And so we met at an AA meeting in California, of all places. This is after I knew her in high school, went to high school with her and her brother, and her folks lived maybe a mile south of my folks there.
They still live a mile
still
from each other in Corrales.
So, from being 21 and trying to figure out, life's lessons and where to go, here we are. I'm going to be 40 this year, 2 beautiful daughters, and to think where I'm at now or where we're at now, I wouldn't have guessed it. When you talk backgrounds, I think for me, culinary was my biggest background. I started in kitchens early, and as I progressed through all the way into culinary school and then, living in Europe, working in Paris, and really developing a love for food, passion for it, but really that political side of where, why, who, how, what is this? Type of questioning from our food is what really kind of pushed me into like the slow food movement, farm to table, farm to fork, ranch to fork, all these different terms. But really it's just about like, hey, what are you eating? Where is it from? Why are you eating it? And is it good? Is it good for you? Is it good for the environment? Is it good for our community? All these different things. And it's a ripple effect, right? Boom. And so that's sort of my passion side. And then as I got burnt out in kitchens, which tends to happen to chefs because it's just a grind and you're working 7 days a week. And, but I worked in Beverly Hills and Roy Yamaguchi and Wolfgang Puck, and it was crazy. But so yeah, that was sort of my background and why I had a passion for food and what sort of led me down this path of growing vegetables in the back with some chickens, and then all of a sudden, we've got 60 head of cows and 70 sheep, and we do 8 markets a month, and really trying to just get after it.
Oh, that's so neat. And I think knowing where your food comes from is, such a special thing, and that's exactly what I guess the goal of the podcast is, right? Is knowing where your food comes from and talking, we say behind the burger because it's behind the beef. And I think from the culinary side too, we talk to a lot of culinary students and we try and inspire that conversation of knowing where your food comes from and where your ingredients come from is a really great thing. And obviously it's grown well into a business for you guys. Will you talk about New Mexico's landscapes and climate and how they shape your ranching and methods?
Yeah, New Mexico is so varied, right? We have high alpine, beautiful forests, aspen forests and, 10,000 foot elevations all the way down to the border where it's barren and hot and in a very desert landscape. We're known as New Mexico as like a high desert, but we have beautiful forests and we do have 4 seasons, right? And, 1% of the land in New Mexico has running water through it. So water in the desert, water in the high desert, water here in New Mexico is sacred. You hear all the time, water is life, and indeed that it is. So I think with the landscape and how it varies so much is really like, the ranch that we run our cattle on during the summer the gentleman that we lease it from told me, this land bleeds water.
Yeah.
What do you mean it bleeds water? Like, who says that? But, this ranch has 13 sprigs, so our carrying capacity is huge. We're not hauling water. That's huge during the summer. And I think that, for ranchers and producers, the way that you run your herd is going to really dictate, or the land's going to dictate your working environment, how you manage your cattle and manage your herd. Are you hauling water? Are you hauling out, Real Max tubs? Are you, putting whatever you need down? How much hay are you having to invest in? And it varies, and everybody's got to really, figure out what works best for their herd and go that route.
Absolutely. We talk about it a lot that you have to be stewards of the land in order to be stewards of the livestock, right?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Nicely said. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the same for many ranchers, right? Everyone's dealing with it. Everyone has to deal with the land and take care of the land. What is one of the biggest challenges you all face in your operation?
We have, daily challenges. And that's part of ranching, is being able to wake up, being excited about what we're doing, and knowing that, hey, there's these outcomes that are out of our control. We have variables that are always out of our control. For instance, we had gotten the cattle up to our grazing for the summer quite early, which we were already sort of in question of, what's the ranch look like? What's the water content going to be? We're going to need to cut our numbers down up there just because there was no winter. We didn't have a winter. So the ranch was really dry. Here comes a May storm, and it snowed 2 feet at the ranch. So I'm hauling hay in May in the little Tacoma, cutting trees down in 2 feet of snow just so I can get up to the ranch. And yeah, everyone's buried, and we have calves on the ground. And yeah, so now we're managing our herd in 2 feet of snow in May, which that hasn't happened before. That was new.
That was a crazy, crazy New Mexico spring.
Definitely an anomaly, but those are some of the things. And I think, when we talk like, operations, animal health is always huge, right? We want to make sure our animals are doing great. We want to make sure our calves are good. We want to be managing our herd. We want to be managing our land. And when it comes to, it's never our bottom dollar on the ranch to make money, ever. That if we were in it to make money, we would not be here at all. We do it because we love it, and we love the lifestyle. We love being able to, see every day our hard work and the reward that we get from it. And with that being said, I think one of our biggest deals right now is just access to land. As a small operation, it requires money to bankroll the season. It requires money to grow the herd. It requires money to manage the herd. And for us to look at that, it's like, well, we want to grow, but we are, butting our heads because of land access, growth access. The demand's there for sure, 100%. How do we grow our operation? That's one of our biggest things right now for us.
I think access to land is crazy. And then there's so many operations too that are generational. So there's, their land is going to stay in the family. And so as a first generation rancher, that's a unique challenge that you guys are faced with, and everyone needs more land to grow. Even if they're generational, they're trying to look for more land or find a new lease and hope that it's a good lease, hope that it's a long-term lease, and that your landlord's good, and all of that. Land is important, and then of course you guys aren't too far from the urban sprawl, right?
Yeah, we're really conveniently located, pretty much smack dab between Santa Fe and Albuquerque, which gives us access to clientele, people that are, and to the markets. My commutes to the markets aren't bad at all. We do go to Taos as well, but I think Santa Fe, we say Corrales is our home market, but just because, we had spent so much time there, but really Santa Fe is a closer drive from Sile. It's just up and out, and then you're up La Bajada, and there you are in Santa Fe. So, yeah, and touching on what you said, we are first generation ranchers, and I was on the drive here. I was thinking, how much respect and admiration I do have for these multi-generational ranches. The history there. You have brands that are over 100 years old. There's legacy there, and my hats are off to those outfits for sure. A lot of respect and admiration, and they've shaped the cattle industry here in New Mexico, and And it's fun too, because when you talk about like gatekeepers or code keepers of, cowboying or ranch, being a first generation rancher has its downfalls, but it also has, it's very uplifting. We take a lot of pride in what we do, and we work hard, and I think that's sort of the grit and determination that comes from just being a first generation. Is like, well, I didn't get handed this. We built it, kind of brick by brick, stone by stone. And for us, it's like the legacy for me is them. Absolutely. They get to be a part of it. And that's what I want for them. Growing up in agriculture, growing up around cattle, growing up around horses, I see specifically Pilar, because she's at that ripe old age of 4.5, her work ethic. She'll probably be more skilled at 15 than I was at 25, to be quite honest. And that is incredible. Bottom line, why else are we doing this? It's to develop not only the passion for food or the passion for cattle, but, to develop humans, them, to develop her on a ranch in the situations that she gets to experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
We talk about it a lot too. I think the family aspect of ranching, that there's no better place to have kids raised and get to learn the work ethic. Even I grew up pretty ag adjacent, right? So we showed livestock and we had horses, but I wasn't a part of commercial agriculture until my career. But just even the work ethic, or the understanding the circle of life, and understanding that, we don't get our animals forever, and just having respect for them while they're here, and just so many things that I think that growing up in agriculture taught me, and I hope I can also teach my daughter, right? And obviously you guys are doing that with your daughters. It's really special. Yeah, do you want to add to that at all?
That's kind of what it is for me to see. It's about connection, and connection to something that's real. And, it's nature, it's the animals, like you said, the cycle of life. Like, she knows about birth. We were talking about when we were going to give birth to Chamisa, and she knew all about it from the animals. And that was like my reminder in my head about the natural part of everything, and then she sees the chickens come in and the calves being born, and then daddy processes chickens, and then it's just, connection and seeing it all happen. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we had a baby horse born at our house, and that was fun to explain that, the horse is in Betty's belly, and then she came out and she got to name her. All right, we do have a horse named Banana, and that was our fault for allowing that.
That's a great horse name.
Yeah, it was right after the baby was born, right after the Savannah Bananas were in town last year. Banana. Yeah, she's a really pretty horse, Tim. She's a sorrel with the flaxen mane and tail, so she's got like a blonde mane. It's very beautiful. It's fun.
I would love to go to Savannah Banana.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a sidetrack, but gosh, it is a fun experience. We went to the one recently, and there's a lot of cowboys on the team now. There's like cowboy hats, like you see real cowboy hats in some of the teams. It's fun. And then a lot of the people going, we saw tons of people in agriculture at the Savannah Bananas. It was a whole thing. It's I think because it's such a great family atmosphere, and such a, wholesome entertainment, that I think so a lot of families that we get along with were at the Bananas game, or I think it was Party Animals. Anyways, what's one thing most people don't know about raising beef in New Mexico, or even just your operation? Or
I would kind of go back to just, that it's not just a desert. For us, our pastures are irrigated. We've got really, really nice diversified pastures that we graze. We're really fortunate for the ranch that we do lease. The 13 Springs help, but it also has a carrying capacity more than 300 acres, which is a pretty small ranch in terms of grazing, but its carrying capacity is double that, just because of what it's able to grow. So I think one of the things too is just like, it's the terrain's very, very different in a lot of areas of the state. We do have like the deserts and the very arid parts, but there's also some very lush areas that cattle are raised in, and cattle live a really great life, and there's a lot of people that are very skilled at what they do and have some very fantastic operations in this state.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This episode of Behind the Burger is brought to you by the New Mexico Beef Council. At NMBC, we're all about supporting New Mexico's ranchers and bringing the story of beef to life, from pasture to your plate. If you're enjoying these conversations, be sure to follow us on social media to keep the journey going. You'll find us on Instagram and TikTok at NMBeef and on Facebook at NM Beef Council. We're sharing ranch life, beef tips, recipes, and the people behind the plate. Come be part of the story.
Okay.
My horse is named Spots.
Spots? Does Spots have spots? Yeah.
He rolls and bucks on me, though.
Oh, he does. Is he an Appaloosa? Yeah. We love Appaloosas.
He's cool. He's a little Appaloosa Shetland. Gets a little...
It's perfect. They get a little snarky sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what makes tough cowgirls, right?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. I was going to ask, too, I feel like some of the questions would be repetitive. We've already talked about them. But what is something exciting? Oh, no, we were talking about, sorry, I got excited about the horse. You're talking about the diversity of landscape and the grass. And I know I had a conversation with a rancher, and I told him that another rancher had to reschedule a branding because of the rain. And it's so different because the northern part of our state got a ton of rain and that snow in May and all of that. And so it looks pretty green up here. But the southern part of the state, they've got big issues right now because of no rain. I think somebody said in the southwestern part that it was like zero measurable rain in the last 365 days or something crazy.
Wow.
And that's not science, so I could be wrong. But that was the conversation, and I just think it's incredibly diverse. And then even our state is so big, I think. Of course, we hope New Mexicans are listening to the podcast, but if they're not, our state is so big and so spread out. We have 2 million people in our state, and I think 1.5 million of them are just Albuquerque and Santa Fe. Well, that's 500,000 people spread out through... What are we, the largest public land state in the nation? We have tons of public land and then, ranches spread out on those. So anyways, it's just New Mexico is incredibly diverse and incredibly complicated.
And I think I had heard somewhere, and I don't think that it's true, but they said that there were more cattle in the state than there were humans.
Oh, and there were for a long time.
Yeah.
It just changed.
It just changed.
Is what we've kind of done the math and talked to some ranchers. Is it used to be for a long time there were more cattle than people, but now we say there's about 1.5 million cattle, 1.4.
1.4, yeah, because I was looking at some of the numbers and I was like, yeah, I don't think that was right, but
yeah, well, it was for a long, long time. And then even when I moved to New Mexico 10 years ago, there was 1.7 million people. Well, now there's 2.1 million. I don't know. That seems like fast growth, but maybe it's not that fast when you look at other states. I know Texas and Idaho and other states are dealing with population growths, but
rapidly.
Yeah, very rapidly. It feels rapid though, to just in my time here, that it's grown so much and reached over 2 million. But yeah, we used to be more cows than people. Now we're catching up. Not enough grass and rain, or we'd have more cattle. What's kind of your favorite part about the beef industry? And then I want maybe both of you to answer this. Just your favorite part kind of what you do.
I think for me, just being a part of such a historical industry, there's a lot of pride in it. And we get to meet individuals who do what we do. And that's regardless if they're, a cow-calf operation running, 600 moms, whatever, major, right? There's a respect there because they know that we're out there we're doing the work, we're taking care of our animals. And so just being a part of that industry, being a part of the whole, and I really you take a lot of pride in that. And then just getting to meet a lot of different folks, for us going to different ranches and meeting different people. They're family based. We relate to them a lot. That's been really fun for us. And the big thing too is that we eat a lot of beef. We eat beef on a daily basis.
Us too.
Yeah, guilty.
It's my job.
Yeah. So that also having beef from our fields come into our freezers and our fridges. Yeah, that's fun. That's awesome. I mean, because that's what I always tell folks at the market. It's like, hey, my family eats from the farm first. We stand behind our products because this is what I'm feeding my 4-year-old. This is what I'm feeding my 6-month-old. This is what I'm feeding my wife. This is what I eat myself. So those are really fun. And I think for us, it's just, that we're part of a community that has history, that has a future, that we are staying present because we have to with our animals, with our land, and that we get to benefit directly in sharing our food, sharing the meat, sharing the beef. And we eat like kings and queens, like royalty.
That's really special. And you even talked about the industry as a whole being kind. You kind of mentioned the gatekeeper and all of that. I have a friend, her name is Marky Hagan Jones, and she's a public speaker, and she has a presentation about being a gate getter in the industry. And it's just a really special thing. And she's always trying to inspire, whether it's, she talks to FFA students and women and just in cattlemen's organizations, and how being a gate getter is so important, no matter what role you are in the industry, of just helping people and showing them. And for the most part, it feels like I've interacted with a lot of really wonderful gate getters, especially in my career here and then in general. But it's just a good reminder of always trying to, not that we ever want to be riding passenger's side and actually be the person to get the gates, but but metaphorically, I love that presentation that she talks about. But
I mean, we wouldn't be where we're at if it weren't for mentors. I mean, we're older gentlemen that, basically were like, man, you work your butt off. Like, how can I help you? We'd love to help. One of the, the guy we leased the ranch from, he's like, man, why do you work so hard? And I said, well, this is what we want to do. And he's been a huge help. And a lot of the old timers that we've come across have been nothing but helpful. And bless their hearts for that, because they came from a different time where that information and knowledge that they learned is hard earned. That's not just Googled and YouTube, that they're out there doing it when there wasn't that sort of information available. So for them to come up and admire and respect, and that's what I'm talking about. It's like, they're sharing it with us and wanting us and welcoming us. So we feel welcomed.
That's special. And that's the hope, right? I hope everyone feels that. Yeah. What about, do you want to add to that your favorite part or kind of?
Let's see. So I would say we love cows. We have lots of different animals on the farm, and it's grown to be one of our favorite animals. I think all of us, branding, we brand together. She helps him tag, just relationships with the cows, and we eat a lot of meat. It's been really special. With Chamisa, we've done bone marrow. We're eating whole animal, with them and having them experience that. And then, we're using the suet now to make our tallow products. So it's just so connected to that animal in so many ways. And, we sell quarter shares, and it was really cool to hear Sage talk about, that particular steer, or, being that connected. He can talk about it like that. And that's really special. Yeah, we love cows.
That's awesome. We also love cows, and we appreciate the work you guys do. It's such an important part of our industry. So we have I know Liz and Jane and Kate and I all work in the office in the Beef Council representing you all, but we just appreciate what ranchers are doing every day. When we get to be the 9 to 5, sit in the air conditioning. Thanks for coming to the air conditioning for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have so much respect and admiration for what everyone's doing. I was going to say, what's something exciting you're working on right now, or maybe something you're proud of recently? Maybe it's a chance to talk about the farmers markets but what's kind of exciting?
Jay, do you want to go first?
Well, we got into Santa Fe market. That's very exciting. It's our first year showing up at that market. And like he said, it's closer to the Corrales to us. And last weekend was our first weekend, and it was very exciting. Lots of people going there. What else? He did the market. So.
Yeah, I mean, Santa Fe is a great market. It's very professional. It's geared for the producer. And so, we've been going back and forth and finally got all the things that we needed in line, and feel accomplished to be there. But it's great to be there. So you can find us at the Santa Fe market now on a bi-weekly basis. We're in Taos on those other Saturdays. But so that's been exciting. And
got a new bull.
Yeah, we had a really nice Santa Gertrudis bull that we were breeding with, and then unfortunately, within him being a couple weeks at the ranch, he found himself being, hurt and couldn't use himself the way that he would like to.
Yeah.
Poor guy. So we ended up picking up a very nice, yearling. He about 16, 18-month Black Angus registered bull that came from MHAT down in Berlin, south of Berlin. Couldn't be happier with him, and we look forward to seeing what he can bring our herd and the genetics and the calves that we'll be dropping, because it's kind of funny how we keep cow calf, but we're also, we've got to, we produce our cows for beef,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They all are a little bit multi-purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Andrea can get kind of giddy now because she gets to talk about her project, which has been our tallow.
Oh yeah, please do.
So we were thinking we need some value-added products, for our farm. And so we used our suet. I researched so much, and just creating a really good quality, natural, simple product is what I wanted, So learned how to render traditional methods. So the least amount of rendering to keep all of the nutrients in the tallow. And we whipped up some body butter and some lip balms, and it's all we use on us. And it's been a labor of love. She helps with the rendering of the tallow, and it's been really, really well received at the markets. I can't keep up. So is anybody who wants to help me? Yeah.
That's a great problem.
Yes, it's great. But yeah. So it's we love it. You don't smell like beef. It smells like herbs. So yeah. Or butter.
No, it's very popular and very great product. And then it even brings me back to the thought that we like to talk about the beef industry being really efficient and really respectful of the animal to use everything, right? Like you guys are doing. I think that's a really important part that people should know, that the byproducts and the other things that can come from meat production.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep. Okay, what about I guess we kind of already asked this again, because when you're talking about what you do, obviously the passion comes out, but why do you do what you do, and why do you keep going?
Yeah, I want to jump back to the other one, and the other thing that I wanted to talk about, which are our ancestral blend, which is our ground beef that has heart and liver incorporated in it.
Oh.
Great product.
Okay.
And nose to tail, right? Utilizing the most nutrient-dense part of the cows. And not everybody's just ready to gobble up liver.
Right. But if it's in the blend.
Yeah, it's in the blend. And it's
Massive.
organ consumption is gained in popularity, thank God. And yeah, so being able to grind it in and have it packaged, 1 pound package ancestral blend, it's phenomenal.
Especially for kids. You cook the taco meat.
Yeah.
No, there's no heart, no liver, that's just ground beef. But yeah, so that's exciting too, something else. But why do we do what we do, and what makes us not want to stop? I mean, there's definitely days that'll kick your butt, but that just comes with the territory. And part of having those hard days is also there are some tremendous days that will put chills on your spine, bring tears to your eyes. And seeing my family committed to this life is tremendous as a father, right? You make these decisions and you make these sacrifices, and sometimes they may not play out the way that you would like, but the most important part is that for us, this is what we do as a family, and the experiences that we get to have together are,
I can hear.
how many people are producers? How many people get to experience what we get to experience on a daily basis? Not very many. And that lucky few get to really live a special life. So for us, it's, like I said, regardless, it's not the money why we're doing it. It's doing it because we love it, and that we get to see our daughters experience these things. And some of my best memories of just watching, Pilar in the chutes with me, cutting out cows and sorting them. And, she's going to be 5, and she knows how to be around cows. She knows how to be, I'm like, okay, we got to hook up the gooseneck. So she's out behind the trailer. I can see her in the mirror, and she's spotting me, puts the fist up, stops me perfectly. We rack the trailer down. I'm like, okay, we need to open up this gate and have it right on these panels. She stops me perfectly. We then get into the chutes and cut out the 2 cows that we needed to cut out.
2 girls.
Yep, that's right. Into the chutes, we walk them in, load them up. I mean, it was like I had a seasoned hand with me. Incredible. Branding, and she's butchered animals with me. We've done sheep, we've done cows, we've done the chickens. So her skill set, like I said before, she's 15. She's wherever she wants to go in life. And it's because of her foundation on the farm and the ranch.
We forget she's from.
Yeah. I'm like,
You should be so proud, and that's really.
But to tell you this, 2 ewes loaded.
Oh no.
Good memory, too. Good herd management right there.
Yes. This is farm
A
management.
cow bloated. Yeah. And me and Dad cutted it.
You process it. See what happened, huh? It's kind of like a
Yeah.
homeschool activity.
yeah, it's
Absolutely.
hard days are, it's just part of it. And
Hey, what's that up there, my cow? Chocolate cow?
the chocolate cow.
Yeah, where I'm always waiting to see when they come in the door. It's like, what happened now? Or she's always so excited to tell me about what happened, what's going on the farm. And I just call her farm manager.
And I grated my finger and cut my thumb on the trailer.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what it's all about, for
yeah. Oh, it's so special and so wonderful to see your little ranch manager growing up.
And we talked a little bit about food politics.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was it. It was like, sometimes I have, like you go into a grocery store and like, where is all this coming from? But to really have that oversight of everything that we're doing and knowing that the animals are living the best possible life that they possibly can. And, we say they have one bad day. I know that's a term gets thrown around, but it really is like we mitigate when we take our animals to process, when we take the steers in. We try to load them up the night before so they're settled, giving them a little bit of water and just making sure that, hey, like talking to them in quiet voices. And there's a lot of respect there. It's something that doesn't get beyond us, doesn't go beyond us, is that this is life. And for us, it's, we honor those lives, but we're taking those lives as well. And there's a cycle there and it's full circle, right? And yeah, I mean, I remember eating an apple in Paris. I was busy on the line and like the chef comes in and he's like, here, you want an apple? I'm like, I'll take an apple. I ate it and I'll never forget it because it was the best apple I've ever eaten in my life. And that was like, oh, this is food, right? This, there's something to this. And that was the trajectory that sent us into, we got our start in a market garden. That's like how ag was for us. It was like, we are doing a market garden. We were on 3/4 of an acre and we just started crushing out produce, having CSAs, and slowly but surely we just started adding on to where we are at now. And
where we are. This is it.
Yeah, this, and it's kind of funny. Like we started from, growing lettuce and tomatoes, and I remember my dad's like, "What are you gonna do? Sell tomatoes at the growers market for the rest?"
And we have our other horse named Pistol.
Oh, that's so perfect. That's a good horse name.
But yeah, I feel like we've reached that apex, and it's funny because for us, that apex is beef, cows, cattle.
Yeah, found the right niche. That's perfect. Not to go back too much, but you said CSA, and I think I know what that is, but just in case someone doesn't, what is a CSA?
Community supported agriculture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very cool. So like in that aspect, and then we've talked about doing it with meat too, but people are paying
Look at my little unicorn named Sparkles.
into the farm in the beginning of the season. So you have quite a big chunk of money to operate off of. And then you're delivering on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, whatever the contract, we'd sign contracts. And it's hard to be contracted to produce food. But it really showed that the community supported us. I mean, and, we started pre-COVID and then during COVID, which was wild. But yeah, I mean, the people showed up and supported. So it's huge. Community, without community, there wouldn't be, for us, there wouldn't be really an option to do what we do.
No doubt. So, speaking of that and community, where can people follow you and find you? What's the plug for, you guys said the markets, right? And you guys have a website and social media, right?
Yes, we are silepastures.com, and then follow us on Instagram at Sile Pastures. And then you can find us every week, Sundays at Corrales Market. We call it the home market. We're both from Corrales, so that's our home market. Santa Fe every other weekend on Saturdays, and then Taos other bi-weekly, right?
Yeah, and that's SILE, Sile.
Yes.
Perfect. There you go. Well, we'll make sure and tag you and all of that. And then the last question, and possibly the most important question, what's your favorite way to eat beef or favorite recipe?
We were talking about that way over. Pete, what's your favorite way to eat the beef?
On the bone.
On the bone.
The bone, like a steak on the bone.
One day I cleaned the bone up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, just cleaned it completely.
That's the truth
Yeah.
there.
And cleaned it better than a dog.
Oh,
Right.
There you go. Got to get every ounce of that steak.
She liked the bone and ribeye, and then we had gotten her porterhouse cut, and she's like, I want my own porterhouse, Daddy.
Yes.
The porterhouse is good. Steaks are always a fan favorite. We were having this conversation, but I think for us right now, it's just been exciting. The ancestral blend's really cool, and then we've been eating a lot of bone marrow.
been trying different things with her, like saying the nutrients are in the bone marrow we whipped up and all kind of ate it. They had it on crackers. She loved it.
And we always stash 50 pounds of ground every time we process. That goes into our freezer. We fill up our freezer. So we eat a lot of ground beef, and we do that in different ways too. I mean, burgers, of course, is always the classic. We do like a ground beef bowl with avocado and
Cheese.
yeah, some rice, stuff like that. But if I was to choose, it would be a bone and ribeye as well.
That's a daddy's girl right there.
Yeah. I know. I told him, what are you going to do when we go to the restaurant? You have to order 4 ribeyes.
Right. Sell more beef.
Yes.
Yeah, somewhere.
Get more deals with restaurants or something. And would you claim those as favorites as well?
Yeah. Lots of ground beef. What else? I mean,
We're getting into the tongue.
we're going to try the tongue. I'm reading this book about babies and their first foods, and it's all, fats and protein. So we've tried so many different things. And next is the beef tongue, slow cooked. And yeah, I've given her the tallow that I render. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really.
ground beef. Can't go wrong with ground beef or ribeye. But
Oh yeah, it works in everything. I know. I did. Our kids' first food was beef. I did actually make sure that it was just the little Gerber, mush or whatever. But I did get beef in there because I was determined. And then she is like Pilar. She loves a steak. Loves a steak. That's fun. And then my other favorite thing is I just ordered this for a friend who has a baby are coming, and it says, when I get teeth, feed me beef. But you don't even have to have teeth.
Nope.
You can do it before, but
I've been slicing it, and she slaps her face with this. We give her strips of steak, and she sucks everything out of it.
yeah.
But they have pretty strong gums.
Absolutely. Well, I just thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast, sharing your family with us, and sharing a little bit about your story, and just really appreciate it and wish you guys all the best.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was an honor to be here, to talk about what we do. And thank you so much to the New Mexico Beef Council for the time and effort and energy in supporting, producers and ranchers. It's much appreciated.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you for what you do.
Yeah.
Behind the Burger is a podcast produced by the New Mexico Beef Council with the goal of telling the stories of the cattlemen and cattlewomen of the New Mexico beef industry. Thank you for joining us for today's episode. If you would like more information, please visit nmbeef.com. Whether it be a burger, a steak, or another beef dish, we hope you are enjoying beef at your next meal.